In this episode, we'll be talking about two different kinds of prayers and also talking about whether there is enough motivation to move from one to the other. Let's see how it goes. So, what are the different kinds of prayers that you have seen in your own lifetime? Tell me about them in the comments box below. I'll be honest, I am kind of removing certain kinds of prayers from the mix when I'm talking about prayers in this episode. For example, I'm removing prayers made in times of extreme discomfort. For example, prayers offered when you have to unfortunately pray for the life of a loved one, right? I'm not talking about that kind of a prayer. And I'm also excluding prayers offered in the form of confessions, prayers of gratitude, right? I'm not talking about those kinds of prayers. The prayer that I'm talking about, when I'm using the word prayer, I mean it in the traditional sense of a prayer being a request or a demand made to the universe or the God, and in the sense of, let's say, trying to make a wish come true, right? Now, in that regard, I think there are two different kinds of prayers. The number one kind of prayer is one that is based completely out of fear. What do I mean by that? You know, those regular prayers, how would such a prayer sound like? Oh God, please save me from trouble. Oh God, please give me this. Oh God, please give me that. Oh God, please preserve whatever is going on good in my life. Please do not let anything bad happen to me. Oh God, please save my loved ones. Please save them from any troubles and do not let all of these things happen to them, etc. etc. I think you get the gist. And even if a prayer is not said in these exact same words, it's more often than not, words can be convoluted to mean something very deep, something very spiritually significant and whatnot. While the stance that a person took when he was uttering those words, when those words were being said, it's almost always based out of fear. That is what this person meant, right? And I can say this from my own experience that almost all the prayers that I have seen as a born Hindu, I have seen in my household, in temples, in my schools. I studied in a convent school, by the way. So, all of the different prayers that I have seen growing up, almost all of them fall into this category. Even if the words were not exactly this, the stance that we took, the stance that we were guided to take, was always this first stance, a stance based out of fear, right? And I'm stressing on this fear a lot because I think that is what is fundamentally wrong with the prayer such as this. Because it is this stance that is actually blocking us from opening up to, let's say, the secrets of the universe, right? Opening up to whatever life has to offer eventually. Because anything that is rooted in fear can only breed more fear. It cannot lead to those experiences on the other end of the spectrum, those experiences of, let's say, enlightenment, love, fulfillment, contentment. Fear can never lead to those experiences. This fear has to be unlearned, has to be dropped off to actually get to that other side, right? And that is what I feel is fundamentally lacking with almost, let's put a number to it, 99% of religion out there. Because almost all of what is practiced in the name of religion and spirituality is based out of this kind of a fear. The fear of a small little me who is very alien to the world, who is kind of in a protective shell and wants to be protected from all of these alien other individuals. And therefore, this person needs a God to pray to. This person needs a God who can protect him from all of what is happening, right? And this brings me to that second kind of prayer that I want to talk about. Now, this second kind of a prayer, what it will look like is, this is a kind of a prayer which I really respect, by the way, So, if you have to pray for something, if you have to really, really pray for something, I think this is the kind of prayer you should be looking towards, because you should pray for the wisdom and the strength and the understanding to actually just deal with life, right? As simple as that. the wisdom, the understanding, the courage, the strength to actually deal with whatever curveballs life throws at you. If you have to pray for anything at all, pray for that, right? And now you see, I'm not asking you to let go of your belief in God, right? You might as well direct this prayer to the second kind of prayer, to the same God to whom you're directing that first prayer to. But what is different in these two prayers is your perspective. What is different is your stance that you're taking towards life in general. This second kind of prayer is full of self ownership. It's full of this idea which itself is breeding that courage, right? Only if I get the wisdom and the understanding, I'll be dealing with whatever life has to throw at me, right? All I need is wisdom and understanding. I'll do it. I'll handle it on my own. And that is a perspective change which I think is very necessary for all of us. It's kind of it's kind of something which is a ritual that every child has to go through to actually become an adult in the true sense. Because self ownership is really the key that changes your perspective. It's really the key that changes how you look at life, how you deal with life, and more importantly, how you communicate about life to others, right? And we all have that responsibility as adults, at least, right? You could be a teacher, you could be a manager in your workplace, you could be a mentor to a new joinee in your workplace, you could be a parent, right? So, in all of those situations, it's the perspective that you bring to the table is what will influence that other person, right? Um, I think that is what I wanted to talk about in this episode. I think this is something to really think deeply about, and if it resonates with you, I think this is also something that you should motivate others in your life to think more about, right? On that note, I'll take your leave. Until next time, peace out.